Shalom, shalom alaikum, brothers and sisters, which is peace be unto you. This your brother Shem Yael ben Yahweh. Most of you know me as Samuel, the prophet, the first and last judge of Israel. And today, brothers and sisters, I want to give all praise and all honor and glory to our Father, YAHWEHBENYAHWEH, the Most High, and give honor and glory to His Son, Yahweh ben Yahweh, YAHWEHBENYAHWEH, the Prince of Peace, Yahshua, our salvation, whom Yahweh raised up in these last days to deliver us. Praise Yahweh. I want to give a special shout out to the nation of Yahweh, to all of you that is still out there continuing and building this great, wonderful kingdom that Yahweh ben Yahweh came to establish. Praise Yahweh. Today's lesson is going to be called The History of the Israelite Schools. And this is a video that we're going to edit it. We're going to go through it, break it down, chop it up, and give you the truth. Because there is definitely an agenda going on out here amongst these Israelite camps, amongst these groups. There's definitely a controversy going on. And there's definitely an agenda to destroy Yahweh ben Yahweh and everything that he came to do. So with that being said, this your brother Shem Yael, Samuel, who was called 3 times before Yahweh revealed to him what it was he needed to be doing. And I come to you, Israel, since this is the history of the Israelite schools, as they portray it to be. We're going to bring you up to date, and we're going to give you the truth. Let the truth be told. Now, I'm going to ask you to have to bear with me today because I'm by myself, and I'm doing this with my camera phone. You know, at the urge of the moment, you got to do what the Spirit of Yahweh telling you. You ain't got time to wait. If it say move, you got to move. So I ain't got time to set up nothing. I got to move right now and get this message out, brothers and sisters. So bear with me because we're going to be going back and forth from the book and the video, revealing and showing proof without a shadow of a doubt. Nevertheless, this is going to take common sense. This is going to take for you to have to use your intellectual powers that Yahweh have given you. So sit down in a comfortable seat and let's get ready for the lesson. I'm going to be doing a lot of pausing and narrating in this video, so just bear with me.
Now I want to go through the history on how this truth started. 1800, a literate blacksmith named Gabriel Prosser taught the slaves through inspiration of the Bible that we were God's people and should rebel against the tyranny of America.
See, once again, brothers and sisters, he's going to be going through the so-called history of how all this came about, of us knowing the history about the Israelites and other men from the 1800s came with similar teachings of what we have today about who we are, brothers and sisters. Okay, so as he go through, you just listen and pay attention to the vibrations. Pay attention to how he delivered the message, because when he get to a certain person throughout his documentary, you're going to see his energy change. And that is what we're going to be keying in on today, brothers and sisters. The energy that's behind this film.
So that drawing right there is an illustration of Gabriel Prosser. That was in the 1800s. Then you had 1831. It says a slave named Nat Turner was called the Prophet. A lot of people don't know that. That was his nickname, the Prophet, because he was always talking about the scriptures. Okay, and raised a small slave rebellion based on Bible teachings and visions of war and blood he had. Many blacks today demonize this man who attempted to save them from oppression.
Okay, that was Nat Turner, brothers and sisters, who was called the prophet. Okay, but he wasn't the prophet. He wasn't the one that Yahweh sent for us to pay attention to, brothers and sisters. Keep that in mind.
Then you had in 1896 William Saunders Crowdy in Lawrence, Kansas. He established the Church of God and Saints of Christ. Although he taught blacks were God's people, he mixed a lot of Christianity in his teaching. You could Google this guy.
So you could just cross that out. All these names and things, all these great guys now. Let me not take that nothing from them. All these guys that came and, try to bring us some word, that was part of this building. Now we got to keep that in consideration. I'm not here to slander my brothers. I'm not here to speak against the ancestors that came before us. Now that's what we got to keep in mind here now.
And it tells you that it was still a lot of Christian stuff in there. Okay, under it says F.S. Cherry set up the Church of the Living God, the pillar ground of truth for all nations. So even with this, he had all nations involved in this. This group was founded in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and later moved to Philadelphia. Theologically, the Church of the Living God mixed elements of Judaism and Christianity and the Talmud. So he had all races in there, so that he was still kind of off too. 1920, you have Wentworth A. Matthews. He established the Commandment Keepers in Harlem, New York. He primarily based his learnings on so-called Jewish people. He rejected all New Testament writings. That was him right there. 1929, you have Israel ben Newman and Mordecai Herman. They established the Moorish Zionist Temple of the Moorish Jews. They also followed white Jewish teachings, okay? Under that, you're in 1930, you had Arnold Josiah Ford. He and a small group of black Jews went to Ethiopia, where they participated in the coronation of Emperor Haile Selassie, created a school, and acquired 800 acres of land for the purpose of uniting black Jews and the diaspora with Ethiopians. He died there in 1935, so he had a little bit of understanding, but not to the point of where we're about to get to. Okay, near the end of the Civil Rights Movement, there were several prominent Israelite teachers. It was around this time the truth was being taught on a larger scale and in more areas. 1960, this is where we branch off from, right here.
Okay. Now, when he get to the 1960s, he says, okay, this is where we branch off from, right here. Okay, brothers and sisters. And then you got this guy named Heber Ben Yamin, also known as Abba Bivens, who was initially taught he was an Israelite by an ex-slave many years earlier in the South. Bivens believed that the black Christ and on his way in New York. See, Bivens believed in the black Christ and on his way to New York had visited many Italian reservations and came to the scriptural conclusion that the so-called Indians were Israelites as well. He then came to New York and joined the commandment keepers under Matthew, but rejected Matthew's teachings of Old Testament. Only Bivens founded the Israeli schools. He was the first to teach both the blacks and Indians in the Americas are Israelites. Okay, brothers and sisters.
1960, you had Eber Ben Yamin, also known as Abba Bivens. He was initially taught he was an Israelite by an ex-slave some many years earlier in the South. Bivens believed in the black Christ, and on his way to New York, he had visited many Indian reservations and came to the scriptural conclusion that the so-called Indians were Israelites as well. He then came to New York and joined the Commandment Keepers. That's the group we saw up above with Matthews, under Matthew, but rejected Matthew's teachings of Old Testament only. So they got into an argument and Bivens broke off from him. Bivens founded the Israeli school. He was the first to teach both the blacks and...
I want y'all to pay attention to all this finger movement, all this bonformat movement and actions that he's doing with his fingers too, brothers and sisters. Pay attention to this bonformat action with his fingers. Because just like Illuminati got to get their signs and throw up all these signs and gestures as they doing their ritual or whatever they may be doing, they got to throw up their signs. They got to perform their rituals. Okay, brothers and sisters, just keep that in mind.
Indians of the Americas.
I'm going to try to catch it, though.
So he was the first one that started to teach about the two kingdoms.
Watch them fingers, man.
1963, you got Ben Carter, also known as Ben Ami. He led 300 Israelites from Chicago to Liberia and then to Dimona, Israel. He established the African Hebrew Israelites. He attempted to deliver his group from the curses of Deuteronomy 28 under the oppressive hand of America, but soon discovered that oppression followed him to Dimona, Israel. Due to lack of citizenship, they lacked the medical and dental capabilities to properly take care of one another. So he agreed to support the Jewish Israeli military.
Okay, thank you, brother, for reading that there for me. But like I said, this your boy Ben Ami Carter out of Chicago, who took those guys over there to Dimona. Now, you got a lot of Israelite groups out there that's, up under this guy, such as GOCC, the Gathering of Christ Church. They all came from up under these teachings. A lot of them guys that's come from up out of Chicago. Okay? They under Ben Ami Carter. Just because he took them over there or went to Israel, they thought he was the one. You see? They thought he was the one, but as it is, we see him right here with the prime minister of Israel. He sold out. He sold out, brothers and sisters. And if you go on YouTube now, you'll go back and see that the people that went over there with him, they was denouncing him to step down, Ben Ami Carter, because he have led them astray. He was paid to do the job. He was a hireling. You see what I'm saying, brothers and sisters? Like most of these brothers is, they out there paid to do the job. They getting paid. It's an agenda going on. Pay close attention now.
Allowing their young men to fight against the Palestinians in exchange for much needed supplies for their camp. You had to sell a soul just to get a few dental benefits and medical benefits to help his people.
There it is. He said he had to sell his soul just to get a few medical and dental benefits, brothers and sisters. Here it is. This is the shepherd now. This is the one that's leading Israel. He had to sell out just to get things. Why he ain't just trusting the Most High? See? We trust in Yahweh. They say the Most High and all these other different titles and things over there. We're going to get to that a little bit later. But let's continue on.
He got to send a young man in their war. 1965, William A. Lewis taught a congregation in Grand Junction, Michigan. 1970, Hulan Mitchell Jr. This is the one they have in the biography channel. Where many of your mothers and fathers will Google Israelites, this guy pops up first.
There you go.
This dude was a murderer. It says 1970, Hulan Mitchell Jr., a.k.a. Yahweh Ben Yahweh, established the nation of Yahweh. Proclaimed himself God, the Son of God. Sound familiar that somebody's doing today? He and many of his followers were arrested for murder, racketeering, arson, and many other crimes to establish themselves in various states. He was found guilty of these crimes in 1991 and died of colon cancer in prison. Next.
Okay, brothers and sisters. That's where we at right here. This is the reason for this whole video. This is the whole reason for this whole video that I'm making right now, brothers and sisters. Yes. This guy right here, Hulan Mitchell, you heard how his energy changed? The energy levels changed when he got to this guy, Yahweh Ben Yahweh, who they call Hulan Mitchell, a.k.a. Yahweh Ben Yahweh, established the nation of Yahweh, proclaimed himself God, the Son of God. He and many of his followers were arrested for murder, racketeering, arson, and many other crimes to establish themselves in various states. He was found guilty of these crimes in 1991 and died of colon cancer. I'm going to stop right now.